Hey, everybody, welcome to ZEN Hustlers Balance podcast. And we are super excited to have you here today. It's a special episode. We've got somebody that's very special to us in the ZEN Hustle community today as our guest. And just a reminder, ZEN Hustlers is a free resource website to help entrepreneurs and busy professionals find balance on the edge, people who are dealing with stress, overwhelm, anxiety, depression, and just a general feeling of, hey, how did I get my life to this place? I thought I'd have all my shit together by now, and things are out of whack and things are not settled, and you're looking for that efficiency, productivity mixed with a nice sense of self and balance. So that's what ZEN Hustlers is all about. There's tons of free resources from podcasts to experts to books that you can check out. ZEN Hustlers Balance is really about talking to the people who are walking the talk, people who have been through a journey, they've been through an experience, and they want to give back, pay it forward, and in this case, fuck the hustle. So without a further ado, I want to introduce you to a former classmate of mine at Presidio Graduate School MBA program in San Francisco. She is also an executive coach who helps professionals with speaking and professional coaching. We will dive into that a little bit further. She has her own podcast coming out in mid-February. It's called Fuck the Hustle. And without further ado, this is Megan Arneson. Thanks, Megan, for joining us.
Oh my God. Thank you, Jared. It's so fun to be here. And,
We have been doing this for some time. Yes.
yes, yes. Well, we reconnected over this topic. So it's so fun that we finally get to hop on here and really dive deep. I know we've had a few conversations on Clubhouse this past year about this, and um, but it hasn't just been you and I getting to, dig a little deeper together, which I think is going to be really fun.
It is going to be really fun. And we want to make this conversational. So I might jump in and cut you off, and you might jump in and cut me off, and we're going to have fun with it. And you and I have a good enough relationship where we can do that, and we can have fun with respect and boundaries, obviously, of course. And, just let's break it down. I want to first hear a little bit about your story. How did you get to this place? What was going on for you? Feel free to share as little or as much as you'd like personally. What was going on that led you to fuck the hustle?
Yeah, so many things. I think it starts for most of us with a lifetime of conditioning that we need to do more, that we need to be more in order to be worthy. And as a child who grew up in a dysfunctional household, I was really on a mission to prove myself my entire life. And it wound up I wound up in a place where I ended up getting really, really sick. Like burnout is one thing. Like burnout I kind of think of as like a mental condition, right? It's something that, like, it's kind of based on our thoughts and our beliefs, and it affects our bodies because of how we're thinking, and it affects our nervous system, and then we don't get sleep, et cetera, et cetera. This was
Yeah.
taking that to a whole new level where I was collapsed in adrenal fatigue. I had all kinds of autoimmune symptoms. I literally could not hustle anymore. I was forced to stop.
Yeah.
And part of my purpose in having this conversation is to help other people see the signs before they get, smacked upside the head with the 2x4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us a little gritty reality of what was going on. Like, what did your day look like where you feel like, God, this is not working? And I'm going to use the word sustainable today because you and I have sustainable MBAs, and it's like people, planet, and profit. People
Yeah.
have to be sustainable. In your work, you have to be sustainable before you can
Mhm.
give back through your business that you're, whatever you're involved with. So give us a little insight. Like, what did the days look like for you that felt like breakdown?
You know, it's really honestly hard to remember because I was in such a state of breakdown.
Yeah.
Um, it was like not functioning. And I have had clinical depression in the past. It wasn't quite like that, but I would get up and do things and then, just like completely run out of steam and have to go lay down kind of thing.
Got it.
And wanting
Your
to make
business,
changes.
what were you doing for business at the time?
I had just sort of restarted consulting. And this actually happened in waves, right? So I didn't learn the lesson the very first time this happened, which was in like 2006. I had to do it all again. And I had just sort of restarted my consulting probably around 2013, 2012, 2013.
Yeah,
And
after the MBA implemented. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, and, just, like, could not find the motivation within to do what I needed to do just to function, to survive, basically. And
Yeah.
so, and of course, I thought that if I did more work, right, to support myself, that that was gonna help me get ahead, and it never did.
Big illusion.
And
Yeah, the big illusion I call it. Yeah. Like if I
yeah,
do more, I will get more.
yes.
Who gave you this? If there's someone specific in your life, mom, dad, someone else, who taught you the hustle? Because everyone got taught it usually from somewhere or something. Do you recall clearly, like where you got indoctrinated?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it was a lot of different sources. It definitely wasn't dad. Um, Probably my mom, mostly because she was the breadwinner, she was the caretaker, she was the person who, took care of all the details. Um, but even she and maybe it's, now that I'm looking at her later in life, even she, I think, has sort of a healthier attitude toward hustle than I did, but it was mainly because she was a teacher and she had a consistent, solid job and a solid income for most of her life. And I have been all over the place with my career, mostly being an entrepreneur, right? Which tends to lend itself to hustling. But I think going back to what I said at the very beginning, I was on a mission to prove myself from the very beginning in order to feel worthy enough of love, of attention, of all the things. And so, whatever format that took, I was going to do it.
I always remind people that entrepreneurship is a cautionary tale of transformation development because there's nothing like diving yourself into a business or a relationship, but it's often you're having a relationship with your business. And, I'm seeing this with friends and family and colleagues where your business almost becomes a love affair and almost an affair, almost a torrid affair that steals your attention, steals your energy, and steals you away from the people and the things that you love doing sometimes. And the challenge of navigating this is when you're really committed to your purpose, right? You really know that you've got a big mission in life. You're connected to that, and so it drives you this unbelievable fire inside you to drive you to have this kind of energy to put into it.
Yeah.
The caveat of that is you start depleting with the passions here, and your energy is going down, 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 and you're like, wait, I still need more, I need more, I need more, and you never get it back because you just keep depleting, whether it's adrenals or sleep or diet or health and fitness. It starts hitting you at all these levels.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that journey to get to fuck the hustle. And where did the name come from? Like when did you come to that? Like, God, you know what it is? I just gotta fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, right it was the very beginning of 2020. It was in a meditation. I was going through a lot of healing. It's so interesting being a coach and doing this work and doing it from a very spiritual perspective now. It's like you think you've done so much healing, right? And you're like, "I'm there. I've arrived," right? Like, I've been reading Deepak Chopra and Marianne Williamson and Wayne Dyer and Michael Singer for years, right? And it's like you think you've arrived somewhere, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, there's like 18 more layers to this onion that I need to continue peeling. So I was in one of those moments of healing, and it was like, fuck the hustle. And it kept coming day after day in my meditation, and I
Yeah.
couldn't ignore it any longer. And next thing I knew, I was on Clubhouse right about that same time and starting to talk to people. And then all of a sudden I was starting a weekly room called Fuck the Hustle, which we ran for 6 months straight. And I knew that it was going to be a podcast at that time, but my mind was very skeptical and, doing the things that the ego mind does, which is tell you that that's dumb and you're not good enough and nobody's going to like it and all this stuff. So I was kind of on a mission to prove to my mind that people did want to have this conversation, and they did, because they showed up every week. And I also proved to myself that I had plenty of subtopics
Yeah.
to dive into on it.
What were some of the, first of all, how do you describe hustle? Because I think it's really important for us to
Yeah.
break these terms down, because some people feel like it's just being busy. Some people feel like it's motivation. Some
Yeah.
people feel like it's drive to do something with their lives and do more, have multiple jobs, multiple income streams. It's got so many layered definitions now.
Yes.
I actually wore my hustle shirt today just to
Yes.
embody, like I bought into the hustle, right? 2016, 2017, I fully bought in. I was going to HustleCon, hustle events. I was like sold, right? And I was having my own personal journey going downwards at the same time.
Yeah.
So for you, what does hustle mean for you?
Yeah, well, I always like to start with how it feels. And I don't want to make anybody wrong, right? Like,
Yeah,
whatever your definition of hustle is great for you. And don't let me, don't, if I'm saying fuck the hustle, like, please don't take offense at that. If you're like, I love hustle, it feels great,
yeah,
right? But when I sit in stillness and I write out my morning intentions from that deep knowing, from that inner wisdom within, I never write down hustle my ass off.
yeah.
And to be clear, what I used to refer to as intentions was a massive to-do list. And often the energy behind it was make as much shit happen as possible until you're too tired and can't do it anymore. Then get up and do it all again tomorrow. Until you've hit all your goals and you are totally successful enough to allow yourself to rest. But when I started to learn
It's really
more,
powerful, by the way, what you just said.
yeah,
Allow yourself to rest once you've hit these milestones, right? Like, then you can put your feet up. Then you can take a breath. Not yet. Don't
yeah,
take a breath yet. Don't put your feet up yet. And I just think that's so powerful in itself, just to let that sit in for a sec of like, nope, keep yourself on the hanger until what? And
yeah,
I don't think any of us know what is. And I think that's one of the dangerous things about the hustle. We don't know when that point is because we've never identified that point.
yes, yes. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, when I started to understand intention setting in a deeper way,
Who
and
gave you that? Did you figure that out, or where were you getting the guide of intention?
oh goodness, again, like I said, all the reading of all the spiritual masters, Pema Chodron and Gabby Bernstein and uh Eckhart Tolle even.
Yeah. Gabby
So
Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back, right?
what's that?
Is Gabby Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We
And
have that
she
in our
actually has
reading.
like
That's in our
9
reading list. Yeah.
books.
That's in
Yeah.
one of our reading lists. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, okay, but I think it takes sometimes hearing something or learning something over and over again in a myriad of ways before it clicks, but when it does, boy, watch out. So my
Was it an
intention.
aha moment? Do I have an aha moment coming up for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so my intentions now every morning include words like surrender and flow and allow. And when I feel those terms in my body relaxes. it's open, and it's easeful, and it's light. And when I'm having these conversations with people about hustle, and I ask them what it feels like, the majority of at least women and non-gender binary people say it feels like shit. It feels heavy. It feels like anxiety. It feels like fast moving,
Mm-hmm.
and like it makes me want to shut down. And so if you are one of those people who feels that when you hear the word hustle, like I always imagined, I like I think I started soccer like kind of late compared to like most of my friends, but I think it was in 4th or 5th grade. And hearing the soccer coach yell at us to hustle, right? Harder, faster, more, more, more. And I am a person who does not react well to being yelled at. That does not motivate me.
Yeah.
And so that imprint is on my nervous system. And when I
Yeah.
think about hustle, that's what comes up for me.
Interesting.
And so, but I can't talk about how hustle feels, right? This doing. It's really feels like to me from a place of not enoughness, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mind is trying to control everything because it's in scarcity about time or resources. And so we set aside our feelings, we numb them out because that's what we're taught to do. Or we stuff them down or we just ignore them. And that, leads to burnout, breakdown, chronic pain and illness, which is a self-perpetuating cycle, right? Hustle is external in my world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but I can't talk about it without also talking about my definition of flow, which feels like the opposite of hustle.
Mm-hmm.
So being, allowing, surrendering, and it comes from this place of inner trust where the mind is not interfering with the higher self, right? Time ceases to exist when we're in flow. We're in this quantum reality all of a sudden instead of down here in the 3D where everything feels so important. And we start to realize that all this mind garbage is not real. And all of a sudden we are in this place of peace, and that comes from inside.
Thank you. That was a perfect definition from someone who has really spent time thinking about it and analyzing it and really feeling like the embodiment of it. And too many of us are living up here and we're so disconnected from what's going on in our stomachs, our backs, our shoulders, other than pain or pleasure. And that's like, one or the other. It's way too black and white.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break for our sponsors, then we'll be right back.
As a busy professional, getting noticed online is how I generate business, and video is the best way to do that. It's proven that videos are the most engaging posts, but creating high-quality videos that look professional has always been hard, until I discovered PitchHub. PitchHub is my go-to resource for creating affordable videos for my website or any of my social channels that drive leads and increase my sphere of influence. PitchHub is remarkably simple to use and doesn't require expensive equipment or learning complicated programs, just any of the devices I already have. Let me show you how easy PitchHub's 3-step process is. First, add your script into PitchHub, where you can customize the message, then use the teleprompter feature to record your video. Next, upload your video and any other media, like logos, images, or even other clips you want added in. Now sit back and relax while professional editors create your personalized video for you. I used to worry making my own videos was too complicated, and I would end up looking like an amateur. But PitchHub enabled me to create dozens of professional videos, which helped me build trust online and made a huge difference to my business. Try it today and see how PitchHub can transform your business with the power of video.
Are you seeking to become a thought leader in your area of expertise? Do you want to have a following of people who are connected, engaged, who are listening to you and want to hear from you frequently? Are you currently an author, TEDx speaker, keynote host, coach, consultant, or entrepreneur founder? Are you hoping to be one of these roles? If so, you're going to love this. We spent years creating this unique and bold expert level online course called Break On Through. It's a 6-week video curriculum with myself, Jared Brick, a media marketing expert, along with 4 other top leaders. Our goal is to skyrocket you into thought leadership role at any stage and any age in your career field by leveraging media and the modern syndication processes. Right now, we have a special offer running for just the first 10 people to sign up for this exciting and engaging online course. Click below to learn more, and we hope to see you in the spotlight soon.
Thanks, everybody. Welcome back. And we're talking to Megan Arneson from Fuck the Hustle. She's got her podcast coming out in mid to late February. And so what do you want to achieve with Fuck the Hustle? Like, what's the goal of Fuck the Hustle for you?
Yeah, it's really just about opening up the conversation. I feel like I have been spending a lot of time in a lot of very spiritual circles where everybody totally gets it and speaks my language, but not everybody is totally there yet. I know that there are so many people still in this state of burnout, in this state of unworthiness, in this state of disembodiment, who are hoping for some kind of solution, and they don't necessarily know where to find it. So I am really looking forward to this being an open and accessible conversation about what you can do, where to even begin, because some of us are so, like, this hustle culture is so deeply embedded in kind of almost the DNA of who we are, and we can't see it, right? We need often somebody to reflect to us what's going on in
That's
order
what a
for
good
us to
coach is, right?
recognize.
That's what a good coach is.
Yes,
Do you
exactly.
feel like this is an American phenomenon, a city phenomenon?
No.
Have you been interviewing and talking to people from all over the world, and they all share the similar traits?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think maybe 30 years ago, it was probably more an American phenomenon,
Yeah.
but based on our communication systems now, everything has changed, and people in countries all over the world are in this hustle mentality.
Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit for fun. I know
Yeah.
you, and we understand hustle. So when I'm going to pretend I'm somebody who's new to this conversation. It's like, well, hey, man, I see a lot of successful people, I'm using very specific words here,
Mhm.
that are telling me to push harder, break through my boundaries, do more than I've ever done, because that's where the growth and the success will happen. And the only way for me to do that is to push myself harder than I've ever pushed.
Yeah.
So what's your response to that when someone presents that to
Yeah.
you?
Well, first of all, just saying the only way to do that is very limiting, right? Like, how many people have you actually talked to who told you to do that, right? Because if you talk to the most successful, billionaires on the planet, I guarantee you they are not pushing themselves past their limits. They may have done that in the early days, and they are often working from a place of flow. They are working from their soul consciousness. They are not working from the ego mind. They are breaking barriers because they are not listening to what sort of our social norms are telling them to do, right? So the most successful people, I would argue, wouldn't be telling you to hustle your ass off. The second part of that is, if you really like working hard, right? If you like working long hours, go for it, right? There is nothing wrong with that. The question that I always ask is, why? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you think you're supposed to? Are you doing it because you think that is the only way to get what you want? Are you doing it to prove yourself? Are you doing it because you don't feel worthy, right? If you're coming from a place of scarcity, let's look at that, right? Because for me, it's about taking aligned action. And when I am in alignment, right, I get energy naturally that rises up in my body and drives me to take action.
Yeah.
That is the only action that I want to take from now on. And I have to admit that I am not 100% there yet. You know,
Yeah.
this is a process. It is going to take some time to unwind the unconscious programming that has been built up for 40 plus years in my body.
Yeah.
And I can't just do it by using affirmations or, like trying to flip my belief on its head. I actually have to teach my body what is safe and that it's okay to rest. And once I sort of gain some momentum with that and can allow that inspiration and that motivation and that energy to bubble up from within, then I'm unstoppable.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. And I think it's a lot of proving to yourself that it works, giving yourself the freedom to try new habits, because a lot of this is about micro habits throughout your day.
Yeah.
And, like a micro habit of mine is sometimes I just have complete silence and I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anyone. I have an eye mask and I want to just shut out the world to recenter where I'm at because my head is just fragmenting all over the place with thoughts. So it's not so much a meditation as
Mhm.
is just a desensory kind of moment of close it down, shut it down, and then just come into that quiet space again. So it's just these micro habits. And then
Yeah.
trusting that, like, oh, yeah, I feel better now. Instead of being depleted, I actually have more abundant energy. And I think looking at the activities that we do, what's depleting you and what's giving you energy. And I know for introverts and extroverts, it can be really apparent, but it's those micro experiences that we should look at also of where is our energy getting robbed and where are we giving back? We're getting back energy.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's actually a term for that now. It's called sacred rest.
Sacred rest.
And
Okay, cool.
yeah, and the idea is that a lot of the things that we think are very restful are not, right? Like, you know, reading a book that's not like a novel, a pleasure read, right? You're like,
Yeah,
"But I'm reading." Yeah, but you're trying to learn, right?
yeah,
Or like taking a walk with your friend where it becomes this really like intense emotional conversation. Also beautiful and very fulfilling, but not necessarily restful, right?
yeah,
So what
yeah,
about taking a walk out in nature with no headphones, not trying to catch up on podcasts and for me, Voxer messages,
yeah.
and just being. So I love that you do that. And then the
Yeah,
other thing that
and
I was
it's important. It's important to find those habits that you feel. And I'm so glad you called out the reading and the relationships because one of the things we ask people is what relationships do they give back to you or do they take from you? And I think that's really important. I have two children. I have an ex and a co-parent that we navigate with, and so it's really important. Like looking at those relationships, like are they generative or are they depleting relationships? And to be honest, sometimes they're depleting.
yeah,
And it's like, hey, I got some alone time. And alone
exactly.
time is super healthy. So thanks for calling that out. And it just reminds me, we haven't talked at all about your lifestyle. So do you want to inform people a little bit about your unique lifestyle?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I did wanna go back just to one thing, and
Yep.
I love this idea of micro habits and, like, talking about the how, but the thing that's really important about the how in terms of letting go of hustle is that there's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
You have to find what works for you, and I know that's such a disappointing answer coming from, like, this mindy place of hustle and checking boxes. You're like,
Yeah.
"What should I do? Today, I need to meditate, and then I need to journal my intentions," and I used to do that. It was wild, right? Like, and then all of a sudden, your whole day, you're like, "Wow, I could spend 8 hours on self-care and never get anything else done." So, flowing in that as well is very important.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone has their journey. I think the whole important part that we're working towards is feeling like you have options and
Yeah.
you have a support system. You're not alone. This is literally a deadly enterprise. We lose people every year to this, either health or mental health or sanity or mental well-being, or at worst case, suicide. And
Yeah.
it's happening. And it's happening at a rate that's never happened before. And so it is so critical to bring up and let people know that there are resources out there. There's a lot more people going through it
Hmm.
than you realize. You're not the first person to go through this.
Yeah.
And, what are going to be that breaking point aha moment for you? Because we all know that change doesn't happen easily. It usually comes from a place of, I have to do this, not I should do this.
Yeah.
Most habits don't stick with a should, they stick with a have to. And then what's that why, right? Like what's the why, and then what's the how, and then what's left? Like what am I going to do with this now?
Yes.
And that comes from Simon Sinek's work. Start with why. Define that purpose. What's that big scary goal you want to achieve in the world? Why do you want to do it? How are you going to feel when you get there? And then you work out the how and the what of it, which actually becomes kind of easy after that. So it reminds me of you getting to the place of you have a what coming, the podcast.
Yeah.
And so what are you excited for?
What am I excited for? Um, I am excited for I'm excited for all of 2022. I am excited to connect with more people who are ready to do this work from a deeply spiritual level.
Mhm.
I in 2020 I got certified as an inner voice facilitator, which is about getting people connected to their higher self, to that inner peace, to that inner knowing. And what's shocking about this, and it's so woo, like I couldn't talk about it for a really long time because, especially like coming from, our background, having an MBA and all that, but it's so integral to my work now that I can't not talk about it anymore. Your intuition will have a conversation with you out loud and in English if you know how to tap into it. And a lot of people do this on their own anyway with like channeled writing. And the deal is like you're not channeling some other entity, you're not channeling aliens and angels and whatever. You are literally channeling yourself, your soul consciousness. And when we use that as the guide for figuring out the purpose, the why, right? Then it's much easier to allow that to flow us into action. And it's so amazing when we learn to sort of set the mind aside and just let it all come up and be natural, not be making things happen. The changes in your life are phenomenal. And I have been following my inner voice, my higher self, for the last 4 years. You asked about my lifestyle as a digital nomad. And I left an emotionally abusive relationship right at the end of 2017. Yeah, timing. And just sort of allowed my intuition to guide me as to what was next. And so for the last 4 years, I have been spending a lot of time in Airbnbs and, just sort of road tripping, going to see old friends up and down the West Coast, and, somehow magically ended up in New Mexico. This was not part of my plan, but I was led here, and I've been here for the last almost 8 months now, and it's magical. It's spectacular. And it has really sort of forced me to a deeper level of flow than I even knew was possible.
I love that. And I love that you found New Mexico. It's such a special spiritual place in the world.
It is.
If you've never been, please do visit. And so we're gonna wrap up. Any words of wisdom for people that are just getting started on this journey? and they're not sure which actions to take. Like we talked about, we don't know which actions are for everyone. Where do you think is a good starting point for people who are starting to question this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the mistake that we often make, especially going back to what we were talking about earlier with successful people, right? I'm air quoting for those who are listening on the podcast, just audio only. The mistake that we make is we watch their actions from the outside without doing our own work on the inside. Like, we don't know what's going on for them behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and we're often comparing our beginning game to somebody else's end game. And that is so not fair to you. you know? So start with a beginner's mind and get connected with yourself. I mean, every action that we take is because we want to feel a certain way or because we do feel a certain way, and that's driving an action. And if you can get more connected with your body and learn to read those signs, that I think is the first and most important foundational step for everything that comes next. And I know it doesn't seem productive, but it's so, so important.
Yeah, I would say if anyone's questioning this, be willing to try something new to get into that somatic body response of, well, how do I feel today? Just check in, do a self check-in. Like, how do I feel when I do X?
Yeah.
Do I get tight neck? Do I get shoulders? Do I get a stomach flutter? Realizing some of it is excitement and it's good and excitement's great, and some of it is stress and anxiety and not going to make you that productive person that you're hoping to be out in the world, living with a strong why and a passion and a purpose. So
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for your wisdom today. Thanks you for dropping in on us and giving back to the Zen Hustlers Balance community. I think you've got a lot of really interesting things coming up for you that we're going to be following and putting you onto our website as a podcast for people to follow when you launch. And
Beautiful.
I'm just really excited for your journey and excited to hear what's next. And hopefully we can continue this conversation. I think, like all of us, we're on the path. We're not at the destination. And I think that's the important part is, looking at each other going, oh, you're walking over there. Oh, I'm over here. And how is it going for you? How's it going for you? And kind of learning from each other. And again, not feeling alone on that path because it can feel lonely. It can
Yeah.
feel lonely, especially when you're going through the hard times.
Totally. Totally. And what if there is no destination, right? Like
That's
this
a
right
that's a
now, this
breakthrough idea,
moment
right?
that we're having, this is it. Yeah. So
Very
let's
cool.
make it
Very cool.
awesome.
Because, if you haven't even defined what the destination is, let's think about that for a sec. Most of us don't even know what that destination looks like really. What does it feel like? What is it? Get clear about that. Do vision boarding, do journaling, get a sense of like, what is this goal you're working towards? Why are you putting so much effort and energy and strife and struggle into something you have no idea what it's for?
Yeah.
So I think that's also a great place for people to start. So thank you again for joining us today. I'm really excited to share links to for people to follow you and learn more about your work. We will be sharing about your upcoming podcast. And for those of you who are interested in Zen Hustlers, remember it's a free resource website. Head over to zenhustlers.com, follow the blog, follow the podcast, follow us on the videos, and engage and reach out in your community in any circles that you have, friends, family, and loved ones. Question things, question why, question how. And I'm going to leave it with just fuck the hustle.
Love it. This is a beautiful thing that you've created, Jared, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. So thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Sign off for now. Take care of yourselves.